Welcome into the NFL Opening Line Report, Week 15. I am Drew Martin, joined as always by Teddy Covers, getting you on the right side of some of these line moves, when to bet it early, when to bet it late, where these both sides and totals are going throughout the week. And without further ado, Teddy Covers, welcome on in, buddy. How you feeling this morning?
I'm doing good, Drew. We won again yesterday in the NFL. It's been a real good run since, the start of the season was a little bit slow. September wasn't what I normally do in September. But since then, I think 63%, counting every day, every play every day since the last week of September. So we're making money for the clients, and that's what we try to do. 2-1 yesterday. Frustrating. I felt like I should have gone 3-0, and I left out a couple of winners. I should have had Carolina yesterday. Guts to. And I'm supposed to have the guts to make that move. That being said, I can't complain. We won again. It's been a good run. It's been a good season. So there are complaints, Drew. There's always complaints on a Monday morning, but not so many that we can't overcome them.
Hey, we've been doing this long enough, been in this industry long enough, Teddy. When you're frustrated after a winning day, you learn to take those towards the positive route of things. And we got the Monday nighter here just quickly, Teddy. Cincinnati and Dallas. It is the Bengals -5. Total of 50 here. We've seen some over money, but Bengals laying -5 is what it is on the road here. Anything quickly? Bengals and Cowboys.
Yeah, so I broke this game down on WagerTalk today. This morning, I broke it down on Bet on It last week. I have a client play on it, and you'll get it now for free because you're watching, and I've given it away on a bunch of shows already. I'm on Dallas plus the points here. And the market has moved towards Dallas. There were mostly 5.5 and 6s at the open. Now we're seeing 5 as a prevailing number. We've seen a ton of over money in this ballgame. And Cincinnati's been a dead nuts over team. I understand why we're seeing over money. That being said, this total opened as low as 44.5. If you're trying to bet over 50 right now, even with CeeDee Lamb back in the lineup for Dallas. It's hard to make a profit when you're getting 4 or 5 points, the worst of it. And that's what you're doing if you're playing the over in tonight's ballgame.
All right, guys, the quick look at the Monday nighter, and we got opening line report style starting right now. Thursday, December 12th, kicking off the Week 15 card. It is the LA Rams, San Francisco 49ers, battle for California here. Teddy, -2 in the hook. That is the Niners as the home favorite. 48.5 being the total. Rams at Niners Thursday night football.
And you know the drill if you watch this show every week. If you don't, and you're a first-time viewer of the NFL Opening Line Report, I give out 4 sets of numbers for every game. The first set is called the look-ahead line. These are the bettable numbers from last week. And a number of books put them out. I use the Westgate Superbook numbers. I don't use a consensus number on the look-ahead lines. I just use the Westgate Superbook openers. They've been good to me over the years, and I understand how their thought process thinks. So we'll have the look-ahead line. I'll give you my power rating number for these two teams. That's just Team A, Team B, home field. No situations factored into that. I'll give you the opener from last night, and I use a consensus opener. I track a whole bunch of different books and give what I consider the consensus opener. And then, of course, we'll talk about where the money has moved from the opener into Monday morning. So 4 sets of numbers for every game with the Rams and the 49ers. Look ahead line. San Fran -3. Total 47. My powering number, San Fran 2.5. The markets open split last night, 2/2.5 and 48.5. The total, obviously, we saw over money for that game after the Rams' wild shootout against Buffalo. And what have we seen this morning? The 48.5s have held, and we're seeing 2.5s pretty much across the board. So same as my powering number, a little bit down from the look-ahead line for this one. And a lot of that's based on how good the Rams' offense looked yesterday. I mean, they went 11 for 15 on third downs, 1 for 1 on fourth downs, and didn't turn the ball over. So, they had the ball for more than 17 minutes more than Buffalo, ran 18 more plays than Buffalo, blocked a punt, got a touchdown off of that, and needed every bit of that just to survive the game. The defense was not good, to put it mildly. Sean McDermott's quote after the game, quote, "They did," meaning the Rams did, "a great job of controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Defensively and special teams neither were good enough to help us win this ball game." But it's worth noting a Rams team that at times this year has been pushed around a little bit at the line of scrimmage. Bill's head coach said, not yesterday, that didn't happen. San Francisco, well, how about a first half? Yardage in the first half against the Bears yesterday, 319-4. They were up 24-0 at the break. Brock Purdy was brilliant, 20 of 25, 325, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Yards per play, they finished 7.4 yards per play for San Fran to 3.1 for Chicago. This team had a team meeting on Saturday night that apparently resonated with everyone. George Kittle, the message was we needed to play with more of a sense of urgency and play desperate because you hadn't really sensed that, and they did. Purdy, quote, I think we all just executed, did our job, and kept it simple. I think guys weren't overthinking anything. Just whatever was called, we trusted in Kyle and executed. Fred Warner, future Hall of Fame linebacker, quote, we just got back to being us, honestly. The product we were putting on the field the last couple of weeks just wasn't us. We knew that. We had a great opportunity this week and come out at home and right those wrongs and get back to playing our style and do what we do best. It's worth noting, a team with running back injuries, no Mason, no McCaffrey. Garando came in yesterday and had a great day, and then he left in the fourth quarter with a foot injury. They could be down to a fourth string back this week. San Fran has taken the early money. San Fran did look good last week, and the Rams, certainly a team that has some defensive concerns. I would not be surprised at all if this line moves to 3 before kickoff. If you like the 49ers, I bet them sooner rather than later.
Great analysis to kick off the Week 15 opening line report as we're turning the page here. Sunday, December 15th, top of the card, going down in rotation order, 4-5-5, 4-5-6, Washington at New Orleans. We are seeing the Commanders -7 in the hook as the road favorite here, Teddy. 43 being the total. Commanders at Saints from the Big Easy.
Look ahead line here, Washington -3, total of 47. Then Derek Carr got hurt. My powering number with a hurt Derek Carr, Washington -5. The market's opened 7 and 43, and now we're seeing 7.5s out there. So the market's really high on Washington and or really low on the Saints, even with New Orleans coming off a win. Of course, the Commanders coming off a blowout win over Tennessee and a bye week, a young team. We'll see how they respond to that particular situation. For the Saints, Derek Carr got hurt yesterday. Jake Haener came in late. I don't know if we're going to see Spencer Rattler behind QB next week. Rattler was inactive yesterday. But certainly for New Orleans, they found a way to get a win. And look, 4 games left. They're 2 games behind Tampa. They're 1 behind Atlanta. The Saints are thinking that they can make the postseason. You know, head coach Darren Rizzi, quote, it keeps us in the mix. We're down at the end of the year. It's the middle of December. When you're playing games that matter, that still count and have a chance to affect the final outcome, that's a big deal. Yeah, it's not that big a deal. The Saints certainly tried to find ways to lose yesterday's game, but made a play at the end to block a field goal. The Giants couldn't connect on their final drive. But the last couple of weeks, the Saints, I haven't seen that back to the wall, we're going to fight and claw and scratch. They looked, let's just say, a lack of energy at times for New Orleans in recent weeks, which is certainly a concern. And perhaps explains the difference between my powering number for this team and what we're seeing from the markets in this ballgame. Obviously, my powering number is lower. That does not mean I'm excited about taking New Orleans in this ballgame.
Teddy, speaking of 2 teams in the mix, we get it here with the Miami Dolphins and the Houston Texans up next. Texans -3 flat, pretty much across the board as the home favorite, 47 being the total. Dolphins at Texans, next game up.
Look headline, Houston -2.5, 47. My powering number's a little bit shorter, came only Houston 1.5. The market's open 2 and 47 last night. We've seen nothing but Texans money since. The 2.5s are gone, and now it's 3 across the board. So there's been a wise guy move towards Houston off the openers for this one. Miami did a lot of things wrong yesterday. You know, they only went 1 of 9 on third downs, but they buckled down when the game was on the line. They really did. They went 2 of 2 on fourth downs. Tua after the game, he said he wasn't going to say what he wasn't going to repeat what he said in the huddle as they were down 23-15. Needed to make plays to get that game into OT. Quote from Tua: just know we were getting after everyone inside the huddle. Make sure you're blocking the way you need to block. You're running the routes the way you need to be. You need to be in the right spots. Tyreek Hill. Actually, when we were down 23-15, we were trotting back in the field. Everybody knew what was at stake at that moment. We knew if we lose, it's over. Our season is over. Tua 300 300 yards passing in each of the last 3 games. Quote, a win means a lot. It means a lot because we have no room for error to lose another game. Miami didn't play well yesterday. They did show refuse to lose. That is certainly a positive sign. Texans off that 23-20 win against the Jags. Remember, that game was 23-6 well into the fourth quarter. The final score not indicative of how the game was played. Houston was in control. That being said, off a win and a bye, not always the best spot laying points in your next ball game. I'm surprised at how much betting market attention Houston's gotten. Now, 3-point chalk in this one. My initial lean is towards Miami plus the points.
An interesting schedule spot here, just for the NFL opening line report, guys. The 2 teams that they just played, the New York Jets and the Jacksonville Jaguars, on the wrong side of that game, on both of those games last week. But it is Jets -3. There is a 3 and a hook out there, Teddy. -3 with juice at most shots. 40.5 being the total. Jets at Jaguars from North Florida. Next game up.
Look ahead line, Jets -3, total 39.5. My powering number is only Jets -2.5. I can't make the Jets 3-point favorites over just about anyone right now, particularly on the highway. The markets, as you mentioned, were split last night, 3/3.5, total of 40. And we're seeing mostly 3s with juice right now. There are a couple of 3.5s out there, but we'll call it a 3 for the Jets. And there were positive signs yesterday. Aaron Rodgers, his first 300-yard game as a New York Jets. Garrett Wilson had a big game. Devontae Adams had a huge game. The passing game worked. The run defense was great. They allowed only 44 yards on the ground. That being said, that game that the offense worked for the Jets, the defense didn't. They had no sacks on Tua. They got torched late. And boy, that defense showed a lot of quit in overtime. This is a defense, the Jets defense. They have 2 interceptions this year. All right. We're in week 15. That's tied with the Giants for the NFL low. And that matters when you're going against Mac Jones. If your defense isn't picking off passes and not creating takeaways, that's what you're supposed to do to beat Jacksonville. Aaron Rodgers, quote, a lot of different ways we've lost these games. Everyone has some skin on that, but we had opportunities on offense. Whatever happens on defense doesn't matter. We got to get to 30 points. We didn't do it. Jets, again, this is not going to be a game that's going to get a ton of betting attention. Hard for me to lay a price with the Jets on the highway. That being said, the Jaguars, they got the win. They got the win despite the fact that Mac Jones threw 2 picks without an interception. They only gained 2.7 yards per carry. They hadn't won any game since October. Doug Peterson, quote, it's sort of a relief, right? It's the excitement. It's the joy of the work that you put in and you're finally rewarded. That's not a bet on quote for the next week. It's sort of a relief. Mac Jones, quote, we didn't quit this time, which is really important for us moving forward. There was no quit. That's not a bet on quote either for Jacksonville. I don't play this game. I can't imagine playing this game. Maybe we'll find something for the total. Don't know if we'll find much for the side.
We didn't quit this time, man. I'm with you on that quote, Teddy. And interesting, you're bringing up the Jets and the Giants. 2 interceptions year to date. Normally, handicappers, we handicap the interceptions thrown by the quarterbacks. I've never thought about it the other way around, but it does make sense, Teddy. Great point there. As we got Cincinnati and Tennessee up next, we are seeing the Bengals. -5-point road favorites, 47 in the hook being the total. Do note Bengals playing Monday Night Football against the Cowboys, but I'll throw it over to you here, Teddy, as the Bengals go on the road to Nashville to take on the Titans, laying 5.
And this is if you're going to make 1 bet, make 2 bet scenario. Because if Cincinnati blows out Dallas tonight, this line's going to come higher. All right. If you like the Bengals tonight, you may want to consider laying the 4.5/5 right with them. I guess it's 5 across the board right now. There were 4.5 last night. But you might want to consider laying 5 with them tonight. It could easily be 7, 6.5, 7 if Cincinnati looks good and beats up on Dallas. Of course, if you want to bet against the Bengals tonight, I don't think the correlation is quite as strong. They'll still be favorites over Tennessee. Look at line here with Cincy -4.5 and 49. My powering number prior to Monday Night Football, Cincy -4.5. The markets 5 and 48 last night. And we're seeing 5 and 47.5 this morning. A little bit of under money has come in. And some of that has to do with Tennessee's anemic offensive showing yesterday. They ran the football. Tony Pollard, 21 for 102. Will Levis, no interceptions. And they scored 6 points. So that's a concern. And they had a couple of chances to win late. 2 fourth down stops. They got to the Jaguars, they got to the 9-yard line and couldn't convert. Now 1-5 at home this season. Brian Callahan quote, that's the difference in a tight ball game in a divisional game. You got to score touchdowns down there. And they went 0-2 in the red zone, and we didn't. Jeffrey Simmons, interesting quote, Pro Bowl defensive lineman, quote, I'm tired of saying we got to do better, play better. I don't know. I don't have no answers. Complimentary football wasn't there. Tennessee's a frustrated team headed in the wrong direction right now, and it certainly showed in yesterday's home loss to the Jags. Not a team the betting markets are about to go, yeah, Tennessee's got the team to back right here. So I do think if Cincy looks good tonight, if they look good tonight, that this number comes higher than 5 for next week. Something worth noting when it comes to taking advantage of opportunities that are there before kickoff for Monday Night Football that may not be available afterwards.
463-464 up next. Baltimore Ravens at the New York Giants. A game only a sports bettor can love as we get the largest number on the card here. -14.5 or -15. That is the road team favored. Ravens at Giants here, Teddy. 43 and a hook being the total.
Look ahead line. Baltimore only 11.5, total of 44.5. Pure powering number says 12.5 for this ball game. That being said, I understand why the markets came high on Baltimore. Giants aren't going to attract a whole lot of money in this matchup. 14.5, the number here, at least at 14.5. Some wise guys will come in and take the G-men. Total was looking 43.5 last night, still sitting there this morning, so not a lot of move on this total. Baltimore obviously has taken money, despite the fact that they had a bye week, which tells you how bad the Giants looked again yesterday. And they covered the spread in defeat. But Baltimore, when you think about the scenario, off the loss to Philly, poorly played game, and the bye. They're 3-3 in their last 6 games. They also lost to the Steelers and the Browns. So there's real urgency for the Ravens. We like Harbaugh with extra time to repair. For the Giants, I mean, Drew Lock threw 49 pass attempts yesterday, and he completed and didn't get a touchdown and had only 213 yards. And Lock had multiple chances to win the game straight up at the end. Couldn't complete pass in the end zone. They settled for a field goal to tie. And then, of course, that field goal was blocked. They've lost 8 straight games. That's one shy of the team record. Brian DeBall, who knows he's going to be gone at the end of the season, quote, I'm disappointed that we have 2 wins. The Giants, you talked about the lack of interception. The Giants got to 2 yesterday. when Trey Hawkins picked off Derek Carr in the third quarter of that ball game. Their second interception of the season. That was an NFL record run. 11 consecutive games without an interception for the Giants. So at least that went a positive sign for yesterday. But this is not a team that me, you, or anybody else trusts to hang around with quality competition if that competition comes to play. And certainly Baltimore off a loss and a bye, one would think they're likely to come to play.
2 early kicks here, 10 a.m. Pacific, as we got a bunch of afternoon kicks, and love the 2 Monday Night Football games this week. No buys either, guys. So fire away any questions in the comments below or the live chat. We'll try to answer them at the end of the show as we got Kansas City and Cleveland up next here, Teddy. We are seeing KC -5.5 to as high as -6.5. I guess we could call consensus -6. There is more 5 and a hooks out there, guys, as we're talking Monday morning. 45 being the total. Chiefs at Brown. Next game up.
NFL. The last ones were this past weekend for the last 4 weeks of the regular season and into the playoffs. We will not have to discuss buys, teams off a bye, teams going into the bye, any of that again, because, that period of the season ended with this past weekend and the games that are all the 6 teams that are coming out of buys this week, a couple of whom face off against one another. Kansas City and Cleveland. Look headline, Chiefs -5.5, total 45.5. My powering number for the game is KC 6. That's what we were seeing, 5.5, 6 last night. That's what we're seeing today, 5.5. I would say would be the prevailing number, total of 45. So the markets haven't really moved a whole lot on this ball game. And look, Kansas City's been rocky, okay? When you doink in a game-winning field goal on your third-string kicker to win the division, you're clearly getting some of the breaks. And, of course, the incredible thing, Kansas City is 15-0 in one-score games over the last 2 seasons, which is truly remarkable. And they can win this in a one-score games. They've had 3 different kickers make a game-winning field goal. Remember, Butker's hurt. No other team in NFL history has had more than one kicker to do so. And that game-winning field goal as time expired. Now the Chiefs have just clinched their 9th straight division title. That's second in NFL history. Only the Patriots' 11 consecutive division titles ranks above that. It is worth noting, KC's offensive line has had some issues of late. Patrick Mahomes sacked 3 times yesterday. He's taken 13 sacks over the last 3 games. That's the most in any 3-game stretch in his career. As for Cleveland, look, Jameis came back to earth a little bit yesterday after that crazy, I don't know if coming back to earth's the right thing. He didn't throw for almost 500 yards, I'll put it that way, against the Steelers defense. Only 5.2 yards per pass attempt, 2 interceptions, 3 sacks. Cleveland finished -2 in turnovers, and they scored a first quarter touchdown, didn't score again until the game was 27-7 in the fourth quarter, garbage time. Dustin Hopkins, we talk about kickers. He missed 2 makeable field goals when the game was still in doubt. He leads the NFL 9 field goal misses this season. Quote, I need to find a good swing. The good swing has been tough to find this year. The Winston after the game. I don't believe the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Cleveland Browns. I believe the Cleveland Browns beat the Cleveland Browns. Certainly, Cleveland's going to come to play. The effort's been there for Cleveland. I'm not, they're coming out there having fun. And KC's struggling to win games by margin. We keep saying, oh, yeah, I'll lay it with the Chiefs as soon as they show me they can win one. And they haven't been able to do it. So I might, there's a chance I'll look at Cleveland plus the points this week. Don't know if I get there, but there's a chance. I think it's a spot that we can expect full effort from the Browns.
Coin in the chat box saying on a 7-game losing streak against the spread for the Chiefs. That's got to be the first time in NFL history a 12-1 team has dropped 7 ATS, Teddy. But just a wild stat there. Thanks for chiming in, Coin. We'll move down the list here at TC. We got Dallas at Carolina. I'll throw it over to you.
Remembering the Patriots. The Patriots had the undefeated regular season, and they had a bye. And they came out of the bye. They won and covered. They were killing everyone. They came out of the bye. I think they had Buffalo on Monday night, and they beat them by 50 points. And the rest of the year, ended up losing to the Giants in the Super Bowl. The rest of the year, I think they covered the point spread. They were winning games, but not covering the point spread. So that's one that just came to mind when you talk about teams that ever been done before. I think that Patriots team also, a lot of wins without covering over the back half of the campaign.
Nice catch there, TC. Okay, yeah. Here and it's rare.
I remember too much.
No, that's what we love about the show, my man. Taking the notes here, and it's for the information. Another interesting handicap here for sports bettors. It's the Dallas Cowboys, Carolina Panthers. Do note Cowboys playing Monday Night Football, but also note it's the Panthers -1 point home favorites. This is the first time all season long Carolina's, well, at least right now, going off as the favorite. 43 being the total. Cowboys at Panthers. Next game up.
Yeah, look ahead line, Dallas -2. My powering number, Dallas -1. The markets opened Carolina 1.5 and 43 last night. And basically we're seeing ones, mostly ones. There are some 1.5s out there. 42.5, 43, the prevailing total. A little bit of under money. Not a broad market, but a little bit of under money for this one. And certainly we've seen the markets flip to Carolina. And we talked on the show last week about what a bad spot it was for the Eagles and how Philly may not be interested in all that game. And it was. That being said, Carolina still didn't find a way to pull out the upset. They had their chances. Xavier Legette open with the game-winning touchdown in his hands, and he drops it. That being said, the Panthers' offensive line held up versus the Eagles. And that, to me, was the only reason I didn't play the game was I was afraid Carolina was just going to get blown up front, and it didn't work out that way at all. Carolina was able to. Chuba Hubbard, 92 yards on the ground, 3.5 yards per carry, solid, only 1 sack on Bryce Young. Dave Canales, after another loss, quote, talking about the Legette drop. That's a big play we're counting on. He'll be the first one to tell you he's got to make that play. Bryce steps up, makes a beautiful throw in the situation. We had the coverage we wanted, all that. Those are the play we just find a way to make for us to get back in the winning column. Of course, Dallas. When you have a team that continues to lose but continues to fight. I don't expect that fight to go away because they lost last week. I don't. So you find the teams, when they get that win, that's when they exhale. Look at what's happened to Tennessee the last couple of weeks. It's a prime example of that. You finally get got that win over Houston, and they've been pretty awful ever since. So Dallas plays tonight. If the Cowboys look good, if the Cowboys pull off the upset, they'll be favorites tomorrow. Both ways for Monday Night Football. All right. If we talked about Cincinnati earlier, if you like Cincy tonight, you may want to play them twice. I think it's the same story for Dallas. If you like the Cowboys plus the points, I think Dallas is going to win this game or come close. If Dallas plays well on national TV tonight, I can't see Carolina going off as a favorite in this game. I really can't.
We got 5 afternoon kicks up next, guys. Starting here, 469, 470, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia battle for Pennsylvania, as it is the Eagles, -4 and a hook, -5 as the home favorite, 43 being the total here. Steelers at Eagles, TC.
Yeah, before we talk about Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, I'm trying to figure out what the right point of the show is to give you guys some promo stuff, some good deals. I think between the early games and the late games, the right time to do it. So let me promote for a minute, because it's been a good NFL season. It's been a good overall all-sports run. The college hoops is red hot right now. The college football has been rock solid. It wasn't a great weekend, but it's been real good the last couple of weeks. And the NFL, we talked about it, 63% dating back to September and a long-term track record. You guys know that I live and die with this stuff. 2 promotions that we want to talk about. First, if I'm your guy, the TC365 is still up and available. It gives you every play, every day, every sport for a full year, 365 days. Just use promo code TC365 at checkout. That goes for $99 a month for the next 12 months. Again, a normally monthly price is $299. You get that for $99 a month, and there's nothing more to buy. There's no nonsense with it. If you want to get on board with me for the next year, let's partner up. TC365 at checkout. You can also take advantage of the December to Remember package. Again, normally $299 for a full month, down to $199 for December. That's going to get you all the bowls, all the NBA, all the college football, and obviously all the NFL all month long. No promo code needed to take advantage of that. December to Remember, just $199 at my page, wt.buzz/TC. Thank you for allowing me to promote. And most of all, we appreciate the likes. We appreciate the comments. Drew and I are there every week and answer back as many comments as we can. Thank you for your support of the show. If you like this show, we'd love it if you buy a package. If you don't have to buy a package, tell your friends. That's all we ask. Thank you. Let's talk about Philadelphia and Pittsburgh right now. Well, look at that line here. Eagles 5.5, 45.5. My power number only came 3 on this game. It really came 2.75. I have 2.5/3, which is like 3 even money or 2.5, depending on which way you want to hook it. And the market's open 4.5, 44 last night. Pittsburgh's still not getting the betting market respect that I think they deserve, and that's been bet up. 4.5 up to 5. There are 5.5 starting to pop. We're looking at that free WagerTalk live odds screen for the Steelers. And look, they gained 4.3 yards per play. They only had 15 first downs, 260 total yards. Don't be fooled by the 27 points. That being said, George Pickens was on the sideline. They need Pickens to get that offensive clicking. He is their playmaking receiver. First game of his career that he missed. He had a groin injury. We would expect him to be back this week, but you know that for sure. Defense forced 3 turnovers. 14-year veteran, defensive tackle Cam Hayward. Quote, "We have a complete team." Mike Tomlin. That's what good teams do. Somebody makes a play, the other side of the ball backs it up. That's what we're trying to do. Tight end Pat Fryermuth talking about all the close games they played. Why not test us before the playoffs? Get a feel. All playoff teams we're playing, so it'll be great. Pittsburgh certainly a team with some positive momentum right now, feeling pretty good about themselves, and a team that has overachieved to the point spread in a real way. For Philly, look, they didn't give up. They didn't turn the ball over yesterday. They held Carolina to 4.4 yards per play. The defense showed up. Saquon Barkley, another 100-yard game. He has now set the Eagles' all-time franchise record for rushing yards in a season, and they still have 4 games to go. And yet, life and death to win the game. What's going on? The passing game's not working at all. Jalen Hurts, just 108 passing yards, sacked 4 times. All right. But Hurts, everybody has a reason to want more. I play my role in how we execute, but unfortunately, it's about what position we put ourselves in. It's not my choice. Nick Sirianni, I think it's fair that the questions about our pass game are right now. Alan Moore's offense isn't clicking, despite the fact that they were able to run the football basically at will against everyone. I don't know if they'll be able to run the ball at will against Pittsburgh. So they're going to have to throw the football around. Jalen Hurts, quote, let the dissatisfaction fuel you for more. It's always a fair place to be. We know there's more out there for us, and we're in pursuit of trying to find it. Again, my number comes shorter than the market number on this, but I've been off. My market number's been off on Pittsburgh all year, and it's making me money. So I'm not adjusting my Steelers power rating down. All the quotes, all the results coming out of Pittsburgh right now are legitimately positive.
Like it, Teddy. Good matchup there, guys, in the state of Pennsylvania. We'll head to the state of Michigan for another good one. Possible Super Bowl matchup preview here. Buffalo Bills, Detroit Lions. We're seeing the Lions, Teddy, -2. There is a 1 and a hook out there. 54 being the total. Bills at Lions from the Motor City.
So I could care less who wins the Super Bowl. I'm a fan of no team. That being said, from a tortured fan point, I'd love to see Buffalo play Detroit. If it came to the big game, and both teams are certainly capable. Look ahead line. Detroit -2.5, 51.5. My powering number, Detroit -3. The market's open 2.5 last night and 53.5. We've seen over money up to 54/54.5, a little bit of over money there. And we've seen some Bills money in that ballgame. Now, Josh Allen, I thought he clinched the MVP 2 weeks ago. He might have clinched it against Kansas City. And then he had the game where he caught the pass, caught the touchdown, receiving touchdown, the rushing touchdown, and the passing touchdown. And then yesterday, I think the first player in NFL history, or the second player, it was Otto Graham, I think it was, someone from back in like the 50s. 3 touchdowns passing, 3 touchdowns running in the same game. No sacks, no interceptions. Josh Allen was as good as any player in football. It was unbelievable. They only ran, James Cook ran for 20 yards, 6 carries for 20 yards. And he had 82 yards, Josh Allen, on the ground in that game. Sean McVay, after the 44-42 Rams victory, quote, Josh Allen is an alien. Some of the stuff he can do, the things he can create, we knew he was capable of that. He's shown that. That's why he's as well-respected and well-regarded in this league as he is. And then, Buffalo, the first team in NFL history ever to score 6 touchdowns without a turnover and lose the game. The block punt touchdown ended up being the difference in the contest. Sean McDermott, they did a great job of controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. I read that quote earlier. Defensively and special teams, neither were good enough to help us win this game. Remember, Buffalo, number 1 in the NFL, plus 17 turnover differential. Yesterday, they didn't get the turnovers, and they didn't win the game. And obviously, the defense for the Bills got absolutely annihilated in that contest. There were no answers for LA's passing game, and the Rams ran the football effectively as well. Buffalo still with the fewest giveaways in the league. The Lions, man, when you look at some of the first down numbers for the Lions when it comes to ball control and just grinding out clock and grinding out yards, they're plus 10 first downs every week. They were plus 20, plus 30. We've seen some incredible first down differentials. Even the game against Green Bay, they're 27 first downs compared to only 17 allowed. This team converts on third down, and they convert on fourth down as well. They went for it on that late fourth down. Dan Campbell, this will be one of those you never forget. I just felt like we needed to end it on offense. I did not want to get back, and I believe we could convert. I trust the O-line. I trust David. I don't know which David it was. Maybe it was Montgomery. He trusts David. I forget who got the carry for that. Detroit now a franchise record, 11th straight victory, including 2 against the Packers. They beat Minnesota as well. So certainly it's a Lions team difficult to stand in front of. That being said, the defensive injuries for Detroit are a real concern. The defensive ineffectiveness for Buffalo yesterday was a real concern. The Bills couldn't win a game where they didn't win the turnover battle. I'm not shocked at all. We've seen over money for this one. Where do the stops come from? In a game where both teams have shown a lot of refuse to lose. I'll give the Bills credit. Yesterday they could have laid down. The Rams smacked them, and they smacked them, and they smacked them again. And even in what should have been a flat spot coming up, yeah, we just won the division. The Bills, the hunger was there, and I'm sure it'll be there this week as well. Great game, a lot of fun. And again, if you like the over, bet it right now, because under money is not. I don't see it on the horizon.
Yeah, good point there, Teddy. As it's 54, ticking up to 54 and a hook right now. And to your point, I mean, it's amazing what a good running game and an accurate quarterback can do for your first down totals. As we'll move down here, 473, 474, Indianapolis Colts and the Denver Broncos. Speaking of kind of surprising quarterback play here with the Broncos, minus 4-point home favorites, 43.5 or 44 being the total. Broncos have been an absolute wagon here, Teddy. Covering 5 straight, 10-3 against the spread, laying 4 here, a mile high, hosting the Colts.
Yeah, I apologize. I wrote down a wrong number here, and I don't know how to fix it. So let me just start here. Look headline was Denver 5.5, 43.5. My power rating was 4.5. I don't have the openers from last night. I must have written down the game ahead of it. Like 2.5. Oh, gosh. So I apologize. But right now, we're looking at 4 and 46.5. And for me to recreate that, I'd have to go back and look at where all the lines were at all these different books last night. I can't do that live on air. So I apologize. I don't have what the number was properly at the open. Right now, it is sitting at 4/43.5. There are a couple of 44s out there. And this is a nothing game to talk about. The Colts are off a 25-24 win against the Pats in a bye week. The Broncos are off that crazy Monday night game with the 2 pick sixes and beating the Browns in a bye week. Both teams, there's enormous urgency. Denver right now in the 7th seed in the AFC. Indy wants that 7th seed. So it's certainly the type of game where one would expect, this is a max intensity game for both squads, both teams rested and ready. I would not be shocked. No, we're not going to. I feel like you want to take points in this game, and yet Denver's made everybody money who's backed them all season. So I'm not convinced that the better defense. So I'm not convinced that we're going to see Indy money between now and kickoff. But it wouldn't shock me. I basically, I don't know where the line's going to move this on this game. I really don't. So in terms of urgency, again, look ahead was 5.5. We're 4 here, based off of nothing. Both teams didn't play on Sunday, so it showed me that there is at least some market support out there for Indy in a must-win spot for the Colts.
475, 476 up next. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the LA Chargers. Minus 3 at most shops. There is 2.5 with juice available as we're talking Monday morning. 46 and a hook being the total. Bucks at Chargers from Southern California here at DC.
Look at headline LA minus 3.5, 46.5. My powering number only 2 for the Chargers. It wasn't really a look headline on this game last night because the Chargers were playing the Chiefs. And this morning, what are we seeing? As you mentioned, it's mostly 3s out there for LA. Total 46.5, the prevailing number, which is pretty close to what we were talking about on the look ahead. It was 3.5 to look ahead, but I mean, it's the Chargers team that the last 3 losses, they've all been tied or ahead in the fourth quarter. They lost by 7 points to the Ravens. They lost by 2 to Arizona on a last-second field goal. They lost by 2 to the Chiefs on a doink-in field goal yesterday. So they've been in every game. All right, they didn't have Conkey yesterday, and the passing game still worked. Justin Herbert, 21 of 30, 213, 1 touchdown, no picks. But when you play, you get shut out for a half, and that's, again, it was the same story last week where the offense didn't do anything. They get 2 first downs after halftime. There's lots of these stretches for the Chargers where the offense just doesn't work. Herbert, quote, we didn't make enough plays in the first half. We didn't execute the way we wanted to. Pass game, run game, we're moving the ball well. That's on us. I praise the guys for staying in there, staying patient, making plays in the second half. But we've certainly seen this Chargers offense been very, very hit or miss. And when it's not clicking, it can get ugly. For Tampa Bay, yards per play, 7.1 against 4.5. They outgained the Raiders by 2.5 yards a play. They had 4 turnovers, and 3 of 3 in the red zone. Back over 500, a 4th straight NFC South title now within reach. The running game, and of all the teams in the league, when we look at Tampa's running game from like September to where they are now, I don't think any team's improved when it comes to the ability to control the line open holes for their backs. Bucky Irving got hurt yesterday. It didn't matter. Rashad White, 17 carries, 90 yards, 5.3 yards per carry. And this is a team that really couldn't run the football last year. They couldn't run the football early. That running game has been a difference maker for them. So, it was a 3-game winning streak. Now they're at the top of the division. Todd Bowles, quote, "It's one thing getting to first place, a whole other thing staying there. We got 4 games left. Going to be a battle all the way through. We have to come ready every week." Baker Mayfield, doesn't have to be pretty, and yesterday's game wasn't. Obviously, there's a lot of things that I would personally like to have back, but it's a resilient group. We play for each other. Guys, step up when other people go down. That's what football is all about. It teaches you life lessons. This is my life lesson I've learned from football is, I don't know, bet bad teams. Here's a life lesson for Tampa. They're playing good ball. Defensively, they're not as good as the Chargers. Offensively, they're probably better. This will be a fun game. I'm going to spend some time with this game this week, and really, I think Tampa might be worth a look.
Only a couple games left here, guys. Any questions, fire away in the live chat. Also in the comments below, and we'll answer them at the end of next week's show. So comments in the live chat and comments below. Remember the coupon code TC365 at checkout. Huge discount there for a full year of service with Teddy Covers. Also the Finish Strong December deal. That's good for any handicapper. Teddy Covers, Drew Martin, 2 of the top NFL handicappers this season. That'd be a nice match to finish your year here, guys. The December Finish Strong special, as you'll get all the NFL, all the plays, and all sports. Final afternoon kick up next here, TC. New England and the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals, -6.5 at most shops. There's -6 out there. 45 in the total. Patriots at Cardinals from the desert.
Yeah, Patriots off that last-second loss to Indy, 25-24 on the 2-point conversion at the end of the game and a bye week. So in theory, it's a good spot for New England. Should be rested and ready and hungry. Of course, they're not that good of a team. Arizona, I mean, they've now lost 3 straight. After being in first place in the NFC West, I need one more win for the Cardinals. Cash my season win bet, and I'll be happy. I've also got some Arizona to make the playoffs in my pocket. We'll worry about that after they get the one win. This is the team they're supposed to beat. But Kyler Murray, it's the first time in his 6-year career that he's had at least 2 interceptions in back-to-back games. He's struggled against Seattle's defense. His quote, "Today you throw 2 picks, you put yourself behind the 8 ball in the NFL. It's tough. It's on me. Just put it on me." That's a mature veteran quote. He still threw for 250 yards and a couple of touchdowns, but the first quarter back-to-back interceptions, and both those led to touchdowns for Seattle, and that was really the difference in the ballgame. Jonathan Gannon, second-year head coach, quote, "I've got to find some answers to get us going a little bit, because we haven't played great the last couple of weeks. That falls on me. I've got to go back to the drawing board tomorrow," meaning today, Monday, "and get these things corrected, put them in better position, and we've got to win a game." There is enormous urgency for the Cardinals this week, and in theory, it's an opponent that they should be able to beat.
We got Sunday Night Football up next, and it's a good one. 2 possible playoff teams here. Packers at Seahawks. We are seeing Green Bay -3 road. There is a 2.5 out there with juice, but -3 at most shops. 47 being the totals. Packers at Seahawks from the Pacific Northwest, TC.
Look at line, Green Bay -2.5. My powering number, Green Bay -2. The market's open 47. The look ahead, 47 last night, 47 this morning. For what I don't think I get the numbers for Arizona. Arizona look ahead -7 and 44. My powering number is 6.5, and the market's open 6.5 and 45 on that one. We've seen over money for Arizona, New England. Basically, this Green Bay Seattle total hasn't moved. Packers have seen money off the open, and of course, Green Bay coming off with extra time to prepare. They played Thursday night against Detroit. And then it's a wild game, Jordan Love, they have a really good offense, but so do we. I don't think there was any pressure on us. We just got off to a slow start, obviously a 34-31 loss in that ball game. Matt LaFleur, that's exactly the kind of game we expected. It was tough. It went back and forth. Just a couple plays that didn't go our way. We didn't see any, we're crushed from Green Bay off of that. Just we lost a game, competitive game, and now extra time to prepare. And the Packs are real. Packers are a good team, not a team I'm going to rush to step in front of. That being said, Seattle's made me money. I had them again yesterday. We had them last week. It's a Seahawks team that I think has been a little bit undervalued in the marketplace following that mid-season slide. There's been urgency. And again, things worked out right for them yesterday. They were +2 in turnovers. They scored touchdowns off of both. But they've won 4 straight games. They outgained the play by a full yard per play against Arizona. And they ran the football, which has been a problem. Zach Charbonnet, 22 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. They had the one long carry, the one big play touchdown, but they moved the ball on the ground. The team finished with 176 rushing yards at 5.7 yards per carry against a decent run defense. Geno Smith, dude, I thought the offensive line was phenomenal. The way they played, we can win every game we played. I like the Seattle team. I may back them here as dogs, but I don't know that I will. Green Bay's not a team I'm in any rush to step in front of, but Seahawks have been making me money. I think there's something of an undervalued commodity still in the betting marketplace. Obviously, the number of this team is only 2 in the markets, all the way up to 3. And even though it's only 1 point, the number of 3 matters a lot when it comes to the NFL.
Absolutely. Key number there of 3, 2.5. We get Chicago and Minnesota as we flip the script here to Monday, December 16th. We get 2 Monday nighters, guys. Not sure why the NFL is putting them up against each other, but hey, at least we got 2 games. Vikings, -6.5, -7 is out there. 43 and a hook or 44 being the total NFC North division battle here with the Bears at the Vikings, Teddy.
Yeah, and thought process-wise, I have no idea what the NFL is thinking running 2 games against each other on Monday night. Neither one maybe is the marquee matchup that they want. I don't know. Look ahead line here, Minnesota -5.5, total of 42. My powering number, Minnesota -9. Markets open 7, 43.5. And down to 6 this morning, 6.5, I should say, this morning. Some 44s are popping. A little bit of over money. So the last 2 weeks, all right, first the Bears played the Lions. And they were outgained by more than 200 yards in the first half of that game on Thanksgiving. But their defense held in the red zone, and they were still in the game, and they made a second half run and made things interesting. So outgained by 200 yards before halftime against Detroit. So last week, what happens against San Francisco? Outgained 319-4. This time the defense downs. They're down 24-0. There's no comeback this time. Caleb Williams sacked 7 times. Yards per play, 3.1 for the Bears, 7.4 for the Niners. That's embarrassing. 7th straight loss. Caleb Williams. We got our butt kicked today. There's no way around it. We got it handed to us. Offense, defense, special teams. We have to come back and be better. Worth noting, Caleb Williams has been sacked 56 times this year. That's the most for any Chicago quarterback since the AFL-NFL merger in 1970. As for Minnesota, so Chicago's stinking up the joint. They're getting slapped around. Minnesota, they're tied. Anyone can win game 21-21 against Atlanta in the 4th quarter, and all of a sudden you look up and it's Vikings 2, Falcons 21. Minnesota touchdown, then a fumble kick return, and then another touchdown, and it was ball game. Kevin O'Connell, the first 40-point game in his 3 seasons on the job, head coach. It just felt like it was one of those days to keep the gas pedal down. Sam Darnold yesterday, 12.4 yards per pass attempt, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. They went 4 for 4 in the red zone. These are impressive numbers. Minnesota, we've kind of thought of them as a pretender, not a contender all year long. They're playing, they're finding ways to win games. They're a very well-coached team, and the chemistry there is off the hook. Everybody likes each other in the Vikings locker room right now. Not so much in that regard when it comes to Chicago.
Last chance to fire out any questions here, guys. We got 1 game left. We'll answer them at the end of the show. Please smash that like button if you're liking the content and comment below, guys. Any questions, we'll answer them on next week's show as we got the last game on the Week 15 card up next. Atlanta Falcons, Las Vegas Raiders. per go-to, man. -4.5. It's the Falcons as the road favorite. 44.5 being the total. And I only say that because if you go on a Sunday, Teddy, as you know, you miss too much as a sports bettor. But a Monday nighter, you'd really only miss one other game, which you can record. That's why I threw that out there. But either way, Teddy, Falcons at Raiders. Falcons -4, -4.5 as the road favorite.
Yeah, the Raiders games, I always go to preseason games for the Raiders. I'm like, yeah, I can get in. And it's not an issue. Obviously, for Monday Night Football, it wouldn't be a bad time to go either. Plenty of good seats still available at Allegiant Stadium for tonight. Look ahead line here, Atlanta -3.5, 44.5. My powering number, Atlanta -3.5, even with the QB. I don't know what we're going to call the QB conundrum for the Raiders. We'll talk about it in a minute. And that line's probably short. The Raiders have to be downgraded even more. But Atlanta's a hard team to lay points with right now. Opened 4.5, 42.5 last night. We're still seeing mostly 4.5, so I've seen some over money. 44s today, although some books open as high as 45. So for what it's worth, I'm not going to call it two-way action on the total. The 42.5 was my consensus opener, and that number has been bet up. So for the Raiders, what happened? Aiden O'Connell got hurt yesterday. He was ineffective too. His red zone interception was unconscionable and cost me an overbet. Not happy about it. And then, without Minshew, with O'Connell hurt, you left with Desmond Ridder. And Desmond Ritter's not an NFL quarterback. We've seen that. It's not anything new. 12 of 18 for 101 yards, but no touchdowns scored with Ridder on the field. Yards per play, Raiders outgained 4.5 yards per play to 7.1. The defense forced 3 turnovers and still got blown out. They've lost an NFL high 9 straight games. Antonio Pierce, I appreciate the effort, the grit, the fight. Listen, it's tough. And these guys are not flinching or blinking. They still believe. All these guys are fighting until the very end, proud of the effort. And he should be. I agree with that assessment. The effort has been there for the Raiders week in, week out. That being said, I don't know. All I keep hearing is Deion Sanders as a head coach rumors for the Raiders right now. So when it comes to job security, Antonio Pierce, we'll see how it plays out this offseason. Who knows? The rumors. Everyone wants Deion right now. He's a hot commodity. And I'll just say, be careful what you wish for in that regard. As for the Falcons, look, they're 0-4 their last 4 ball games. Kirk Cousins, 0 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, while they've gone 0-4 during that span. Again, you're 21-21 in the fourth quarter of a must-win game. You give up a TD, then you fumble a kick return, another TD, and boom. Raheem Morris just can't have the self-inflicted wounds and expect to win football games like we had today. Kirk Cousins, when you're playing well, you usually aren't as good as people are telling you when they're patting you on the back. And if you're in a rut, you're usually not as bad as people kind of leaving you for dead. The reality is usually somewhere in the middle. You have to keep playing and see where the dust settles in January. I agree with that. That's a smart quote. It's a veteran quote from Cousins. But right now, he's not playing good football. And the Falcons, not an easy team to lay more than a field goal with on the highway. Raheem Morris was, in my mind, when he was in Tampa, I thought that was one of the worst coached teams in the NFL that year. And Atlanta right now facing adversity, I'm not thrilled with Raheem Morris and what he's been able to do, getting that team to get back on track. And of course, when your QB 0 touchdowns and 8 interceptions over a 4-game span, that's your big free agent signing this offseason. Oops.
Absolutely, Teddy. As we get a couple questions here, guys, to end it. Teddy, first off, you bring up Deion Sanders. Is that really the rumors? Because I actually saw a podcast clip on him, and obviously money changes things, but he was like, I really have no interest in coaching in the NFL. It doesn't interest me. But are people really talking about Deion?
So the rumor, again, it's a rumor. It's nonsense, But yes, There's talk about Shedeur Sanders being the number 1 overall pick and the Raiders getting it and Deion coming to coach him. And, who knows? The Raiders need some buzz. There's not a lot of buzz about the Raiders when it comes to – so Deion Sanders is certainly someone, and Shedeur Sanders, and now, we're talking about guys who attract media attention. And that's, whether how real it is, who knows? This which I know, Mark Davis a year ago didn't have money to fire any coaches. All right. And now he's had Tom Brady's capital infused into, all the owners, they're, the hedge funds and this and that, they're not Mark Davis is the poorest owner in the NFL. All they have is the Raiders. There's nothing else, you know. So when the Raiders aren't making money, you know, there isn't. You know, everyone else got, you know, oh, I own shopping centers, I own car dealerships, whatever. Mark Davis, all he has is the Raiders. So when they're short on capital, as they were, it leads to coaches sticking around too long. Remember, isn't he still paying Gruden? I mean, there's and now it's a scenario where there's been a capital infusions. The Raiders perhaps have a little bit more room to make coaching changes in the offseason. I don't blame Antonio Pierce for what happened this year. I wouldn't fire the guy. But if you need some buzz, Dion will get you the buzz.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely bring that to Las Vegas as we get Grit Splits with a good question here, Teddy. Should you fade teams that just clinched a playoff spot in their next game? They might come out flat. Same with teams that just got eliminated. Does that change your handicap, Teddy?
The elimination part, not at all. In fact, on Bet on It this week, I'm going to talk about how the teams that have just been eliminated are often good bets. They have nothing to play for. They have nothing to play for. Who covered yesterday that has nothing to play for? The Giants, the Panthers. I'm just going down the list. The Jags have nothing to play for. They won and covered yesterday. The Browns didn't, but it wasn't like they didn't show up for the game. You know, the Raiders showed up for their game. So it's the nothing to play for argument to me is something nonsensical. What was the first part of that question, though? I wanted to relate to that because that was something that made sense to me.
Teams that just clinched a playoff spot.
Okay,
would they be?
Of course. When a team clinches a division real early, that could be a bet against. And I thought that, from the Buffalo standpoint, where they fought tooth and nail and clinched that division early, and now you have to fly out to the West Coast, you have Detroit on deck. I thought it was a terrible spot for the Bills, and in some ways it was. KC just clinched yesterday division. But then again, you can bet against KC every week. You make money. But in general, yes, after you clinch a division early, you tend to be a little bit flat the next week. And we've certainly seen some of that. But it's not an auto bet. You want to read the quotes. You want to pay attention. And it's different clinching week 14, week 15 versus, because you still have a bunch of football to play, versus, let's say, a week 17 clinch, in which week 18 might be a real no-show game.
That makes sense, Teddy. And I guess a couple questions here. College football, Indiana, Notre Dame, SMU, Penn State, Clemson, Texas, Tennessee, Ohio State, the first-round games here. Does anything teams to kind of jump on early, jump on late in the college football first round of the playoff?
So there's been, in terms of side and total moves, the totals really haven't done anything for all four of these games. They've 50.5, 51 for Indiana. Notre Dame's been there. The 53.5, 54 SMU Penn State. That's right where it opened. The 51.5, 52 Clemson Texas. That's right where it opened. Opened a little bit higher at DK and POL. Got bet down immediately. The 47s for Tennessee and Ohio State. Again, no action there. 47.5 open, 47 at one book, 48 at the other. Total-wise, nothing has done anything. Side-wise, we've seen a little bit of Indiana money, and then a little bit of buyback on Notre Dame. But there were some sevens out there, and now it's all 7.5s and 8s. But initially, it was some Indiana money. But the big one's Ohio State money. That was 7, and now we're realistically seeing 7.5s across the board for that one. So the market's made a move off the opener towards the Buckeyes, saying that they're better than what we just saw. But in terms of you got to bet this right now, urgency, I'm not seeing it for the college football playoffs. These lines are going to sit around for a couple of weeks before people get involved.
Yeah, I agree with you, Teddy. And I would just throw out there, it's less than 2 weeks until the first round of the game. So it's kind of different this season. There's not as much preparation time. And to Teddy's point on the totals, guys, I mean, first off, all 4 games are outdoor stadiums. So projecting the weather, and 3 of them are up north, like Big Ten country. So that's also going to be part of the totals betting, Teddy. Yeah,
I certainly will. And yeah, you're not going to project weather for what it's going to look like in South Bend or in Columbus or in Happy Valley 2 weeks ahead of time. So I'm not surprised, as you mentioned, we haven't seen much movement on the totals, and it's an excellent point about these games being much quicker. There's not like, we got weeks to think about it. Guess what? Or they're going next weekend.
Yeah,
not this weekend, but next week. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, Teddy. Guys, man, thanks for chiming in here. A lot of comments in the live chat. Also, make sure to comment below. Let us know you're watching out there. Any picks, more than welcome. Teddy and I will be in the comments below. It helps out the algorithm growing the show. Smash that like button if you're liking the content, guys. NFL opening line report each and every Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific time on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Teddy covers Drew Martin, getting you set up for the week. Also, remember the promo code TC365 at checkout takes a huge discount off of Teddy Covers full year service, and the December special there. Finish the year strong. You can get Drew Martin, Teddy Covers, any WagerTalk handicapper out there, all picks in all sports. Teddy, anything you want to throw out there before we shut this down?
No, man, we like you guys. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with us. And we'll do it again next Monday, every Monday between now and the Super Bowl. Even the day after the Super Bowl, Drew and I do one last show. So thank you so much for watching. If you like the show, please tell your friends. And good luck this week.
That does it for the show, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Smash that like button, comment below. Cash those tickets.